The scariest part of this coronavirus pandemic was not the pandemic. And that's not me making light of people that passed away. That's me taking that serious. The biggest issue we have is the way of which a nation allowed the separation of powers of their government to be completely wiped out. Because I promise you, there will be another disaster. And it may not even be a virus. There will be a disaster, and when that disaster happens, what's going to happen with our system of government? Are we going to rely upon ourselves and the people's branches of government and the legislature to craft solutions and put them in a place so the executive branch can enforce them? Or are our legislative branches of government going to collapse upon themselves like they just did, especially in Illinois, and we're going to let the executive branch wield power, unlimited power, until the disaster is over? If that's how we're going to govern ourselves into the future, this nation is over, right? That is the conversation that's not being had enough. And it's over because the system of government is going to be destroyed, and we're going to start reverting back to what the founders tried to stop, which is a separation of power. Who makes the rules? The people make the rules through the legislature. That was abandoned for the last year, and people allowed it to happen because of fear. I would have never in my lifetime thought I would be sitting here saying that I just watched my state and biggest part of my nation get governed by executive fiat for a year and have people sitting around thinking that's okay. The governor was intimidating them with fear. He was threatening to take their licenses. He was threatening to all kinds of threats to try to intimidate them. You know what? It worked. It worked. And so everything that I've been doing to try to accomplish is, one, is to educate people on how the system's supposed to work and to stand up, because I've told people, the courts aren't going to help you. The legislative branch of government is gone in Illinois. They're not going to help. They're still sitting on the sidelines as we sit here today, doing nothing. Doing nothing. So while I give Governor Pritzker a lot of grief for doing what he's done in an inappropriate fashion, I give more grief to the Republican and the Democratic legislative branch of government in our state. They completely sat around, abdicated their duty and their obligation to the people of this state. They ought to all be thrown out of office. There were a few that were trying, but as a whole, our legislative branch of government ought to be ashamed of themselves. To sit by idly and let their power as a legislative branch of government be completely taken over by the executive. It's ridiculous. As it progresses, our nation, it's going to get worse. All I try to do with what I'm doing is to slow down, in my humble opinion, the inevitable. I'm just trying to slow it down, because this perpetuation of government being the fixer of everything, I don't know that we can stop it.
One shot orange, one shot green.
Who is left to protect our way of life? It's us, right? It's us. If we don't stand up, it's not going to happen. And standing up, people typically are fickle. They just want to say, well, what can we do right now? And I'm like, nothing. This issue wasn't created in a month. It's not going to be solved in a month. You got to get back and get involved in the way the government works at every level, city level, county level, state level. You have to be involved.